Hello, Galaxy. Welcome back to Inner Edge, our podcast about health and well-being, and specifically the mental disorders that are affecting students here at Galaxy National School. My name is Leviticus, and I'm here with...
I'm Wise.
And today we have a very special guest. Okay, so today we're joined by our school counselor here at Galaxy National School. And we're very happy to have you here today. And go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, Galaxy. Thank you so much for having me in this podcast. My name is Khulud, and I'm the school counselor. And I also teach well-being for classes from year 4 to year 7.
And for this podcast, I'm going to be talking about ADHD, which in full is attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, which is categorized into 3 types. There's the inattentive type, the hyperactive type, and the combined type. And I brought Ms. Khulud here today so she can tell us more about ADHD and how stigmatizing people that have it could damage them, and how we can prevent that type of stuff from happening. So Miss, we're very glad to have you. I have some questions here for you. To start us off, could you briefly explain what ADHD is to the students? I know I talked about it already, but you might have some more information that I missed out.
ADHD, as you said, is classified into 3 different types. Commonly, ADHD, which is attention deficit hyperactive disorder, is a commonly diagnosed disorder among school students. And this is caused by mainly 3 reasons, which is regulation, self-regulation. It affects the student ability to focus, managing energy levels, and at the same time, regulating emotions. They often struggle on how to regulate normal emotions, like when they're happy, sad, or angry. They would, in most case scenarios, they would be really having difficulties in self-regulation.
So how can having ADHD impact a student's day-to-day life? Like, how does that work for them?
So the impacts ADHD have on school students in different settings, we can divide that into educational setting, like in a school setting, or social setting, or an emotional setting. So when we talk about school setting, mainly they have the inability of them to focus during lessons can lead them to having less attention in the classroom, which often leads to missed instructions. Like, for example, if the teacher asks them to bring something tomorrow as a part of the lesson, they would actually miss it because of them not being focused in the lesson. And then they can also they may hear that there is a homework, but they are not so focused on the due date of the homework or when they need to bring the homework. So that can be one of the reasons in a school setting. The second one would be them not being focused on a multi-step instruction. When I say multi-step instruction, if you ask someone to go to the market, get me like vegetables and sugars and other, they will only remember the first part, which would allow them to miss out onto the last part. So they would ask, okay, what was the last part? Like, they'll do the first part, they'll come back and ask if I have missed anything.
Okay, I understand.
So like that, maybe.
That was really interesting. I wanted to ask, how exactly can school counselors help students with ADHD try to navigate the challenges caused by being stigmatized or being segregated, kind of, just because of their disorder?
That's a great question. Students can be easily labeled in school because of some of the conditions, which are natural. We should not be able to differentiate a student from other just because they have they possess different behaviors, or they don't understand as much as we understand. So I think we should be able to normalize certain things, and we have to cater and tailor needs according to them. So as a school counselor, it's easy to just look at a few signs and symptoms and say the student might have an ADHD, but then we require from a psychological perspective or from a psychologist to have a report of if this student is really an ADHD student. If so, we do individual behavioral plans or individual tailored counseling sessions on how to help student have that focus. And, like with these students, we just have to have techniques and ways on how to handle them in class. And we can do these trainings to the teachers and say, like, for example, when you deal with student A, make sure that you have a differentiation technique in your classroom. For it's not the regular teaching method. It's about how you integrate other different learning styles. Yes. To make sure they also catch up and to make sure they are also learning and enjoying the learning process. They're engaged in the learning process at the same time. Because these days, we could also say, like, for example, myself, I can't sit and watch a movie for like 2 hours because if the movie is not getting my attention or engaging, I would probably, like, in the first 5 minutes, I would just slouch. Because at the same time, we also see these Instagram reels and YouTube shorts where it's just 15 seconds or 10 seconds, and we're used to those kinds of things. So I think as children who are growing up, they also have to be given that tailored support on how to keep the class engaging, how to make sure that they're learning, and also having these hands-on activities and the technology is developing to have all those technological aids in the classroom to help them support and have an engaging lesson.
Okay. Thank you for that.
Yep.
So today I'm talking about PTSD or post-traumatic stress disorder. This PTSD is basically like when people go through stuff, wars. It can happen to war veterans, or it comes actually naturally, like from natural disasters. So people with PTSD actually they don't face, like, especially nowadays, they don't have like support. They actually are being judged by other people, So actually, people take PTSD as something dangerous when it's actually not. It's just like a normal disease or like normal thing, just like ADHD. But around the school, like, how did you guys deal? What type of stigmatizations did you guys like face, and how did you guys deal with them?
When we speak about the topic of stigma, there is stigma around mental health as well. People don't actually come ask for help when they are mentally struggling. It's just because of the stigma that is surrounding, so that people may be labeled as crazy or, the stigmas that are around the mental health. And it is also something that is around PTSD. PTSD is a normal condition. Every one of us have gone through a lot of life challenging situations. And not everyone may be able to know how to deal with those situations. And it is always important to seek professional help. And there are professionals out there, they're trained to just help out on how are you going to deal with these
the challenges and
mental health challenges that are around there. And PTSD is one of them. So there are stigmas of misinformation or misinterpretation or not understanding what actually PTSD is. PTSD can be caused by when you even maybe lost a family member. It can give you a fear of death or losing a loved one. And if we do not train, or if they do not ask for help, and if we do not help them on how to deal with these life changes, it may create like a chronic illness in the future. So it is important, the stigmas that are surrounding all these mental health issues, like misinformation or labeling or fear. When you talk to someone who has PTSD, they fear that they're also going to catch PTSD or all those negativity around them. And that's another stigma that is surrounding, and the stereotypes that are around PTSD. So it is very important, we as educators working in a school setting, to address PTSD and to empower students to voice out, to seek help, and to refer even peer-to-peer. If you know a friend of yours is struggling from PTSD, maybe they came from a war zone, and you don't know how to help, it's okay. You can ask for help, And we have to make sure that as school, one of our mission and vision is to provide safe and supportive environment for these students. Just because they had a negative experience in the past does not mean that it's gonna
stay negative.
Exactly.
So by helping them understand it, by helping them accept it, because if you don't accept it, it's very difficult for you to heal from it.
Overcome
accepting, healing, and overcoming through life's negative events
Yeah.
is important.
So thank you, Miss Kulut, for being with us in this podcast. We're really thankful for you to be here, and to be honest, I've benefited a lot from this, like especially the ADHD part. Like, yeah. So we're really thankful for you. Like,
Thank you so much, Maz and Leviticus, for this informative session. I wish we had more interactions on the
same.
stigmas and, how to
She's really
help
cool, by the
peers. So I wish we had more sessions, podcasts, classroom sessions, workshops to interact with you guys more on these kinds of topics. And I would also urge and kindly request if you could empower your friends or any adults that you know who are suffering from. They just need to seek for help. And if they're asking for help, you can always refer them to me. And I'm always there to listen.
Definitely.
And to support.
All right.
Thank you.
I'm booking the first session. So this was it for today's episode. I'm Moise.
And I'm Leviticus.
Thank you for watching. On the next one.